You ever notice something strange? Two people can be in almost the exact same kind of controlling relationship. Same guilt trips, same cold silences, same constant second guessing. One person shrinks until they're a shadow of themselves. The other walks tall, makes their own choices, and somehow that controlling person just backs off. Same type of controller, completely different experience. I used to wonder about that, then I lived it. I was the person who shrank. There was someone close to me who had a grip on every corner of my life. Not through shouting, not through obvious threats. They used silence like a weapon, a certain look that could make me feel like I'd committed a crime just by having my own plans. And I'd fold. I'd change my decisions, cancel on people, even stop trusting my own gut, all because I was terrified of setting off that cold, heavy disappointment. And the craziest part? I thought I was being loving. I thought running everything by them was respect. But it wasn't. It was fear, dressed up in a nice suit. Then I spotted the one thing I was doing that fed the entire machine. And when I stopped, everything shifted. The same person started treating me differently, not because they magically changed, but because I stopped handing them the power. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what that one thing is, plus 3 other moves that build on it. These aren't fluffy, just set boundaries tips. These are real moves I used in real life that worked fast. I'll take you from easiest to hardest, but first, you have to see the engine underneath it all. A controller doesn't actually have power. They never did. What they have is your fear of their reaction. That's it. Every time you rearrange your life so they won't get upset, you hand them power. Every time you over-justify a choice to keep the peace, you hand them power. Every time you feel guilty for simply living your own life, you hand them power. You're not being controlled. You're cooperating with the control. And once that clicks, you realize you can stop cooperating anytime you choose. So here are the 4 things you need to stop doing right now. I'll walk you through each one with exactly what to say and why it works. Number 1, stop turning your decisions into a courtroom case. Here's what I used to do when that person questioned my plans. I'd launch into a full-on legal defense. I'm meeting Sarah for coffee because she's been having a tough time, and we haven't caught up in weeks, and I know you don't love her, but I feel like I should be there for her, and I'll make sure I'm home before dinner. Sound familiar? In that moment, I wasn't informing someone of my life. I was begging for permission. I was handing them a detailed blueprint of my decision, so they could find every little crack and poke holes through it. And controlling people are exceptionally good at poking holes. What you do instead, you state your decision, like the weather. I'm meeting Sarah for coffee Saturday. Not, would it be okay if, not, I was thinking maybe just a simple, closed statement. If they push, why? With who? For how long? You don't bite. You say, I've got it covered. I'm good. And then you stop talking. The first time I tried this, my heart was pounding. I told that person I was attending a work event. The question started immediately. Old me would have spilled the guest list, the time, the exit strategy. Instead, I said, it's a work thing. I've thought it through. I'm good. They went quiet. That silence used to crush me. This time, it felt like a door closing on my terms. Why does this work? Because you've given them nothing to argue against. You can't poke holes in a wall. Starting right now, the next small decision you make, deliver it like a fact, not a request. Watch the energy shift almost instantly. Number 2, stop being their emotional firefighter. This one is sneaky because it dresses up as caring. But it's not care, it's fear wearing a mask. When they go cold, you panic. When they let out a heavy sigh, you drop everything to ask what's wrong. When they withdraw into a stony silence, your brain starts scrolling through everything you said in the last 24 hours, hunting for the mistake. And they sense this. They might not even consciously know they're doing it, but their mood becomes a remote control. Cold silence gets them more compliance than screaming ever could. Here's the move. Stop chasing. They go cold. You stay warm and keep moving. They sigh dramatically. You acknowledge it without taking ownership. You say, "Sounds like something's bothering you. I'm here if you want to talk." Then you pick up your book, your phone, your headphones, and you walk into another room, not to punish them, not to be cold, but because their emotional weather is not your emergency to fix. I remember a Sunday a couple of years ago. Out of nowhere, that person froze me out. No explanation. Old me would have spent the entire afternoon performing, making jokes, asking gentle questions, bending over backwards to pull a smile out of them. That day, I said those exact words, then went to the kitchen and made myself a cup of tea and read. 2 hours later, they walked in and started talking about groceries like nothing had happened, because there was nothing to feed. When you stop chasing the mood has nowhere to go. It just evaporates. You're not being cruel. You're simply refusing to let someone else's silence hold your whole day hostage. Number 3, stop handing them a vote on your life. Think about how often you ask for their opinion, not because you need it, but because you're scared of what happens if you don't ask. So you include them in every little choice. What do you think I should do about this job offer? Do you like this outfit? Is it okay if I take that class on Wednesdays? And over time, they start believing that every table in your life has a chair with their name on it. Here's the rule that changed my world. If a decision only affects your life, it's your decision. Your career moves, your friendships, your hobbies, your free time, your body, your personal spending, none of that requires their stamp. Stop sending out invitations to meetings that were never supposed to be a group decision. When you pull back, they'll push. They'll say you never tell them anything anymore, that you're shutting them out. You respond warm but firm. "I share plenty with you. Some things I just handle on my own now." If they insist they just want to be involved, you say, "You are involved." But not every single choice needs to be a group discussion. No long justification. No opening for debate. The moment I stopped asking for approval on a training course, I wanted to take something that only affected my own career and schedule the whole dynamic wobbled. They were unsettled, but they couldn't argue because I hadn't handed them the argument. Asking for permission on decisions that only affect you is how they learned they had authority over your life. Stop handing them the invitation and watch them slowly forget they ever had a seat at that table. Number 4, stop being terrified of their disappointment. This is the hardest one, and the most important because this is the engine under the entire vehicle. The cold shoulder works because you're afraid of disappointing them. The guilt trips work because you're afraid of disappointing them. The heavy sighs, the slow, disappointed head shakes, they all work because you've been trained to see their disappointment as proof you've done something terribly wrong. Take away that fear, and none of their tools work. The whole machine shuts off. You have to get this deep in your bones. Their disappointment is not evidence of your failure. Controlling people often feel disappointed when you live your own life. That is not a you problem. That is a them problem. The moment you stop using their disappointment as a compass for right and wrong, it loses every ounce of grip it ever had on you. I had a moment that tested this to its core. I made a big, exciting decision about my future, something I'd thought about for months. I told this person, and immediately I got the look, the silence, the slow nod that said everything except support. Old me would have crumbled right there, would have started backpedaling, maybe even abandoned the whole plan just to make that look go away. Instead, I let the discomfort sit. I breathed through it. I said, "I know you see it differently. I've made my choice." And I let them be disappointed. It was one of the hardest moments of my life, but nothing fell apart. The sky didn't crack open. The relationship survived. More than that, that person slowly began to learn that their disappointment was no longer a stop sign for my life. When you can sit right next to someone's heavy disappointment and keep walking, you become someone they can no longer control. Not because you stopped loving them, because you stopped letting their feelings drive your choices. So here's the raw truth no one says out loud. Controlling people don't control strong people. They control people who are desperate for their approval. That desperation is the leash. Stop explaining your decisions. Stop chasing their mood. Stop giving them a vote on your personal life. and stop fearing their disappointment. Do those 4 things, and the leash has nothing left to hold. You don't become a different person. Not cold, not mean, not difficult. You just stop cooperating with the control. And when the cooperation stops, the control stops. I went from walking on eggshells every single day to feeling like I actually owned my life again. Not through some dramatic blow-up, not through cutting anyone out, just by quietly, calmly pulling back those strings one by one until there was nothing left to grab. You can start today. Pick just one of these 4 moves. Maybe it's saying your next plan like a statement, not a question. Maybe it's letting that cold shoulder sit without running after it. Whatever feels most real for your situation right now, do it once today. See how it feels. Watch what happens. Then do it again tomorrow. In a week, it'll start feeling natural. In a month, you'll barely remember what it felt like to ask permission to live your own life. I went from controlled to free using exactly these moves. Not because I became someone else, but because I stopped doing the things that made the control possible in the first place. Same person, different choices. You can do the same thing. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 4 moves are you going to try first? Drop it in the comments right now. I read them, and I promise you, your story might be the one that gets someone else to finally take their power back. If this hit home, make sure to subscribe and turn on that bell so you never miss a real conversation like this. And right now, click the video on the screen to keep going. I break down what happens after you take back control, because the piece that comes next is even more surprising. I'll see you there.